Hello and welcome to City Beat. We're your central source for news and information for the city of Rocky Mount. I'm Tameka Kenan-Norman, Public Affairs Manager, and really excited about today's show because we're going to have a special guest, Councilwoman Chris Carol Miller, who's been with the council for quite some time, but we're going to talk to her a little bit, get to know a little bit more about her, and we're going to talk to her about her goals as Mayor Pro Tem for 2013. So stay tuned. More of City Beat is coming up next.
You're on your way to meet up with friends, but you can't seem to get anywhere quickly. You don't want your friends to be annoyed, so you text. You're on your way. Five seconds is the average time your eyes are off the road while texting while driving. Make sure you get where you're going.
Hello and welcome back to City Beat. As you heard a little earlier, we've got a special guest joining us today, Councilwoman Chris Miller, who's also added Mayor Pro Tem to her title as well. Hello and welcome to City Beat today.
Good morning, Tameka. It's good to be here.
Your first time with me on the show, so we're delighted to have you. But before we delve into your goals for 2013 and before we talk about your new role, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you go to school and where are you originally from, all that good stuff?
Well, I was born and raised in Georgia, a small town called Allentown. Lived there all my life until I went away to college. I have two sons that are now adults, and they both live in North Carolina. But you ask about my education. My undergraduate degree is in accounting from Georgia Southern. It was college at the time. It's now Georgia Southern College, Georgia Southern University. And my master's degree, MBA, is from Georgia College, which again is now Georgia College and Central University. And my doctoral studies are from the University of Georgia in finance. Okay, so
I didn't even realize you had a doctorate degree.
Well, I don't. I completed the coursework just before we left Georgia to come here. My husband took a transfer, well, actually a change of company. And this was supposed to be my move, you know, after I finished my doctorate, but the plant he was working for was closing down. And so we knew we had to make a move again for him. So.
Okay. So once you joined the city council, this was your first stint in government?
Elected service, yes, that's right.
All right, all right. So tell me about some of the other positions you've held, organizations you've been in.
Well, my first involvement with government actually was on the the Rocky Mount Redevelopment Commission. And I was on there, I don't know, 4 or 6 years. And then, of course, I had to get off there when I was elected. But my work career has been mostly in accounting and finance. I worked in several corporations in Georgia and Florida and Texas, and also was a credit union manager of a federal credit union in Georgia for several years. I taught economics and finance at Georgia College, and that's how I came to go on to do my doctoral work in finance.
Okay. So when we have budgeting things on the agenda, that's why you're so vocal, huh?
That's right. That's right. I can get into the detail.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about some of the other things that you're involved in now. I read about you in the paper sometimes, so.
Well, I have more interest than I have time to pursue, but I have been involved in a number of nonprofits, both before we came to North Carolina and since. I guess when I first was involved, it was as a parent, you know, the PTA, and of course I was involved in AAUW, American Association of University Women, and I did get some training for leadership, political offices there, but without any intent at that time to go on and do that. But I think here in Rocky Mount, of course, I was first involved with the Tarry Orchestra and Chorus League, the Friends of the Arts Center, and served on the Tri-County Industries Board and was their board chair. Let's see, my homeowners association, I got that reactivated several years ago and have continued to serve in that capacity as president. Been involved with United Way. I've been on that board, gosh, I don't know, like 12, 14 years, and you know, moved through all the different committees, and last year was president, so this year I'm serving as past president. United Way. Yeah.
And then your involvement with League of Women Voters as well, right?
Right, as I say, I have many interests.
You forgot about some of them.
Right, exactly, right. The League of Women Voters, there are people who are members at large in our community, but there's not been a local chapter. And so Pat Adams really initiated the effort to get a local chapter. And so that's a build-in effort, as you're aware, and we've certainly appreciated your help in getting the publicity out. But it is a nonpartisan group. It's an important thing to emphasize, and its intent is to help voters be better educated about their rights and responsibilities as voters. And, you know, I think we would have better government at all levels if our citizens were more informed on the issues. But, you know, life is full, people holding down one job or two and, you know, taking care of their families, and so it's hard to find time to do these other things. Fortunately, my children are grown and out of the house, so I can spend much more time on that sort of thing.
Participate in all those types of things.
That's
so
right,
that's
right.
good.
And if this might be my only opportunity to get in a plug for Twin County Community Pride, which is one of the efforts. I guess backing up a step, I was in the Leadership Rocky Mount program through the Chamber back about 93, 94. And through that, I learned a great deal about both Rocky Mount and the surrounding community, and the both the government and the organizations, nonprofits that work to make our community life so much better. So when you finish that program, they ask that you get involved in some particular organizations or efforts, and I chose the Common Ground Race Relations program, and through that went on to organize and facilitate study circles on the subject of race relations. That could be a topic for a whole nother program. And I became involved in Twin County Pride Committee at the Chamber, and that was working to improve the appearance of our community and to get people to care about it. You know, and so after years of litter pickups and billboards to try to encourage that kind of thing, I finally concluded the problem was rooted in their lack of pride in their own hometown of the community they live in. And so I had also come to know about so many people from this area, from Nash and Edgecombe, that have made such tremendous contributions, both locally and at the state and national level. And so came up with the idea of having a museum and Hall of Fame. And of course we didn't have a building or the funds to have one, but we started off by soliciting nominations for induction. And up until just a very few years ago, we were just having that event every year and inducting people and having a portrait done of them. But a few years ago, we got the space at the train station for an actual museum and Hall of Fame. And now we're about to fill that up. So if there's a good soul out there that has extra funds and interest in their community, we really need support financially to help to acquire and maintain a building.
Okay, well that sounds really fabulous. And so because of your involvement, not only now but prior to joining the City Council, I guess you were kind of acclimated to some of the things going on in Rocky Mount, so you weren't totally foreign to what was taking place.
And, you know, all of us are a culmination of our past experiences, and we've learned from all those people we came in contact with. And so working in these different organizations, I got to know a lot of people and also a lot of the problems and people who were working to try to improve conditions here. One of the initiatives I was able to get involved with, kind of through my youngest son, who is a dentist, when he was in school at Chapel Hill in the dental program, he started volunteering with the Mission of Mercy. Dr. Schlott was going around the state holding almost every weekend, every other weekend, a dental clinic in some community. And so because Craig had volunteered in that, I learned about it, and we were able to get that group to come here to Rocky Mount to do a dental clinic. And all the services that are provided by people who have donated their time and skills, and we're able to get a lot of supplies donated through Hospira. And let's see. And at that particular one, for the first time, the North Carolina Dental Society joined forces with Dr. Slott's Mission of Mercy, and so it was called Dental Access Days. But we set a record in terms of the number of people that were served and received free dental care.
I knew you were involved. I didn't know quite this much.
So I have a fun life.
That's excellent. Now, let's go back to when you were first elected, which was
2002. So I'm in my third term.
Okay, okay. So what were your goals initially, and do you feel like you've kind of fulfilled those, which I would imagine it would be a yes.
Well, I have always been very much aware that I'm one of 7 people. So the only thing I can get accomplished is by bringing issues to light and developing enough support among council members to get at least 4 people, the majority of council, to feel the same way and to vote the same way. And obviously all council members have their own particular interests. And there are lots of needs that are demanding funds. And so we would like to do so much more than we're actually able to do, but revenue is always the confining, restricting factor.
Okay. Well, we're going to come back. We're going to talk to you a little bit more. We're joined today by Councilwoman Chris Miller. We're going to come back and talk to her about her new role as Mayor Pro Tem. What exactly is it for those who don't know, and what are her goals in that position in 2013? I'm Tameka Norman. You're watching City Beat.
Sorry, but it's over.
Is it the lying?
No.
Is it because I still live with my parents?
No.
The $200 I stole from your purse?
250.
Is it because I took your sister to Hawaii and not you?
No, Jerry, that wasn't it at all.
Then what is it?
You don't recycle.
What?
Hello and welcome back to City Beat. I told you this would be an exciting show if you've been with us the entire time. And today our special guest is Councilwoman Chris Miller. We've talked about some of the things that she's been involved in, gotten to know you a little bit more too, so that's very interesting. And I want to talk to you about your new responsibility as Mayor Pro Tem as well. And for those who don't know a lot about government, what is Mayor Pro Tem?
Mayor Pro Tem is a position that, in our practice anyway, traditionally in Rocky Mount, rotates from year to year among the council members. You are elected to that position by your fellow council members, and during the year you are responsible for kind of facilitating conversation among council and pulling together their goals, because as I said, just being Mayor Pro Tem doesn't mean I get to set the agenda for a whole year. You know, it means that I kind of coordinate, facilitate the communication and the goal setting, and like when we decide when to go on retreat or where to go or what topics will be discussed, kind of pull in everybody's opinion and desires in terms of what they want to do. And in those, the Mayor Pro Tem does preside at the work sessions, the Committee of the Whole, and for the last few years we have been having a Committee of the Whole almost every month, and that is in the afternoon when we have the 4 o'clock meeting. We generally have a Committee of the Whole at 2. Sometimes it varies from that. We might have one later after after a council meeting. And then, of course, in the absence of the mayor at any time, the Mayor Pro Tem would preside in the actual council meeting, council chambers.
Okay, so lots to do.
Always.
Now, is this your first opportunity serving as Mayor Pro Tem?
No, it is at least my second, maybe my third.
Okay.
As I say, it does rotate. And, you know, the person who most recently had it would probably be the furthest off from serving again.
Gotcha.
You know, and if you've just served a year or 2 ago, it's going to be a while before it rolls back to you.
So for you, what would you like to see happen? What are some of your goals, not only as Mayor Pro Tem, but just being a member of the City Council in general?
Well, as I said, I'm one of 7, so it's all about what the council as a body wants to do, but I think my goal would be to move all of us forward on accomplishing those goals that we have set. You know, we have an ongoing list of goals that have been developed, and they're all goals that encompass more than 1 year. It would be, I guess, fairly rare to start and finish one goal in a given year. It's always a rolling process. But in terms of my interest, as I say, I have been involved in my homeowners association before I ever came on council, because I think that neighborhoods are the fabric of our communities. And if you have strong neighborhoods all over the city, you'll have a strong city. And if people get involved in improving the lives of their own neighborhood, you know, it's like cleaning around your own back door. That's what my dad used to say, don't tend to other people's business, clean around your own back door. But if we start and work outward from there, And you know, you learn about working with people, and you get to know people and their skills and abilities and work ethic and that kind of thing. So neighborhoods will always be one of my primary focuses. I'm also very much interested in downtown revitalization, because it's when business recruiters come to town considering whether to put a plant here or to expand, as Hospira did recently, they're looking at they come and visit your downtown because it's like your living room, and it tells them a lot about how we feel about ourselves as a community, you know, how much pride we have in ourselves. So downtown is very important, and again, a big capital project like that particularly takes years in the planning and figuring out the funding for it, and then years in the implementation. So as you know, we've completed the streetscape program downtown. We'll have maybe in March, when the weather's better, we'll have an actual celebration of that completed work. And of course, there are many city employees whose efforts went into accomplishing that, but we're especially glad to have had Jonathan Boone as Public Works Director. I wouldn't want the headaches he's had in that job, but he's done an excellent job.
But are you pleased with the progress that you see taking place?
Absolutely, yeah, and to see trees down there and you know, new street lights, and eventually there'll be street art, sculpture, and that kind of thing. And I didn't mention this, but I've been involved with Downtown Renaissance for a number of years and served as their president. And that group's goal is to restore our downtown, to get people to reinvest in their properties. And you know, where we're able to, we acquire properties that are in danger of collapsing because the owners have either not been willing or able to keep them up, and then we just stop the decay and try to get it into the hands of somebody that is able to restore it.
Okay, and I was very pleased, the 57th annual Christmas parade that we had. A lot of folks who didn't have an opportunity to see streetscape done and the revitalization that's taking place, I think they were very pleased with that. So it was good to be able to witness that too.
Right.
Now, on another totally different note, one of the things that people are very aware of on the City Council or have seen, you're one of 2 women. Okay. Has that ever been a challenge for you?
Well, when I came on council, Mrs. Gay was there before me.
Okay.
Yes, and so she was the first, well, she was not the first African-American to serve, but certainly she had the kind of double hurdle of being a woman and an African-American. So, you know, I would have no right to complain about anything I faced. But I think the big thing is for people to get to know you and to learn what your abilities are. A lot of times, because a woman might be soft-spoken or whose voice might be higher than mine, you know, it might be a little harder to develop that, to get them to take you seriously. But at least over time, when they become aware of your abilities and your willingness to work hard, then it happens. But as I mentioned earlier, accounting was my undergraduate major. And when I was going through college, I was one of only 2 women in that major. Okay. And then when I went on to the finance PhD program, I was the only woman in my class in finance at the University of Georgia. But in between there, I remember when I interviewed for my first accounting job out of college, and one of my interviews was with a CPA firm. And my department chairman, my accounting department chairman, had recommended me to the company. But I was told they couldn't hire me because their male employees would not want their husbands traveling with a female, you know, to out-of-town audits and that kind of thing. And let's see, a corporation that I did go to work for told me that they didn't think I ought to be in the job because I'd have to work late, you know, for month-end closeout and that kind of thing. I mean, and if you let those things be a barrier, they can be, but you've got to be willing to stand up and say, no, you know, I worked hard to be here, I can do it.
Okay, and you have done it.
I have.
So what's your advice in regards to that? What's your advice to young ladies or young men who want to excel, who want to be in government one day in perhaps a position similar to yours?
Well, whether it's men or women, I would say set your goals high. You know, whether it's going through school and trying to make the best grades you can, try to be involved in extracurricular activities, because colleges certainly look at that when they're making decisions about admissions. And get involved. Take every opportunity that you have to learn, to add new skills, because you don't ever know what opportunities are going to come down the road in terms of jobs or things you'll want to do. And every little skill and attribute that you've been able to acquire will make you that much better qualified for whatever opportunities come up that you do decide you want to do. And I guess with anybody, I'd say follow your heart.
Great advice.
Yes.
And a great interview. Thank you for joining me
You're quite
today.
welcome.
It was, I'm sure it was a pleasure for me, and I'm sure it was a pleasure for our audience to get to know more about you as well.
Thank you,
All
Tameka.
right.
It's been fun.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of City Beat. Don't forget, we've got more coming up next week.